So I'm going to show you a lash lift, a lash tint, and a brow lift, but we're not going to tint the brow. First, I'm just going to remove her makeup. Just a little gauze and cleanser for the moment. A little bit of water. I'm just going to take this soapy gauze pad, I'm just going to lay it on top of her eye. Another soapy gauze pad. And then just let that soak for a moment. Q-tip. One is dry, one is wet. Then I'm just moving the Q-tip up the shaft of the hair to remove as much of this as I can there. Got some.
Yeah, my mascara's all gone, so
It's a
big me.
good. Okay. So for the lash lift, we're going to isolate the lower lashes. You can use under eye pads. I prefer using just plain old medical tape. I'll make myself 4 pieces. Okay, so the idea here is we want to isolate the lower lash. We don't want the lash to be a part of the lifting solution. So I'm going to have you open your eyes all the way and look all the way up at your eyebrows. Now this feels weird. It's not supposed to hurt, but it's a little awkward. It's not comfortable. You can let your guest know that it's going to feel a little awkward, but it's not supposed to hurt. Once I have the tape laid down, I'm going to ask my client how she feels. I'm not poking, it's not rubbing.
No, just weird,
It just feels, yeah.
yeah.
So again, it's a little weird, but it shouldn't be irritating. Okay.
My eyes are sensitive too, so I might start watering.
That's okay. If you have a client whose eyes tend to water, pay special attention when you're doing the color, because people whose eyes tear up, the color, it's easier for the color to seep into the eyes if the eyes are teary. So just pay extra attention when you're doing the tint. So I'm going to take my Ellie Balm. This is the adhesive that we're going to use. This is the malleable adhesive. I'm going to get a little bit of the adhesive, put it on my palette. Grab a Q-tip, or you could even grab a micro sponge. and just apply. Again, these rods, not all of them need to have the adhesive. Some do, some don't, but just like this. Like that. Now, again, a lot of these shields and rods, it's not required to have adhesive. I just want to.
Just to ensure it's all the way down. Thoroughness is good
Exactly.
stuff. I like it.
So come a little bit closer because I'm going to show you how to lay it down. Go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to line this up with the lash line, and then we're going to fold it back. Okay? So line it up right where the lash line is, and then fold it back. Okay? Grab a little adhesive, put it on there. Line it up with the lash line, and then fold it back. Okay? Now take a closer look, and what you want to see is you want to see the hairs butt up right against the shield. You don't want to see any skin in between the hairs and the shield. Okay? So take a closer look. Like right here, there's the tiny little sliver of skin you see there. Okay? We don't want that. So I'm going to remove this one again. And we have forgiving adhesive. That's wonderful. Line it up again with the lash line, and then fold it back. Make sure we don't want to see any skin between the lines. There we go. That's much better than it was. Right? That way when we flip the hairs over, they don't have so far to go. Okay? Now you can add a little bit more adhesive to the outside of the shield, just a place for the hairs to stick. And just put it right there on the shield. Now you can use a makeup brush for this, applying this. You can use a micro sponge, you can use a Q-tip, you can use a lip applicator. You can find whatever works best for you. I like a sponge lip applicator myself, but a Q-tip will work fine. But place my finger on the grip right there, and now we're gonna wrap the lashes. We're just gonna draw those lashes back over the shield. Okay, now the other side. Okay, we got the hairs on the shield, but if you take a closer look, they're not very uniform. They're kind of crossed, they're bunched up, they're stuck together, they're not isolated at all. So that's going to be our next step, is we're going to isolate these lashes. Take our Y comb, the little bristles on the end, start at the top of the hair, okay, and brush, working your way down the shaft of the hair, right? If you start at the bottom and pull all the way up, you're tangling. You might damage the hairs. All right. So we're working from the top of the hair down. So we work from the top of the hair down, and we're separating those lashes from the top down, separating those lashes from each other. You got one hair here that doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm just going to take my micro sponge. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back side of that hair and push it down. Good. Now the other side. Start from the top of the hair and work your way down. See how that clump just separated? Okay. So now my lashes are in place where I want them. All right. We're going to go through and do the same thing because we're doing a brow lamination too at the same time. We're doing a brow lift at the same time. So we can apply our adhesive at this time too for the brows. So we get the adhesive in the brows, really get it in there, make sure it's on all sides of the hairs. Remember, the center of the brow comes 90 degrees toward you, and then we gradually move towards 45 degrees at the end. So it's going to come right towards me. Start at the top of the hairs and work your way down. Good. So 90 degrees here, 45 degrees here. And we just gradually make our way over from 90 to 45. Okay, now the other side. 90 degrees in the center. Start at the top of the hair, start at the top of the brow and work your way down. Good. Okay, so this is the shape that we're going to keep the brow in, all right? 90 degrees here, 45 degrees here. Just a couple touch-ups here and there. Make sure we got everything. Okay. Now it's time for step one. All right, this is our lift lotion. This goes onto your palette, like so. Fresh micro sponge. You can, again, you can use a brush, you can use a micro sponge, you can use Q-tip, whatever. Just as long as you know, as soon as you lay it down, it's processing and you gotta go, all right? Here we go. Just little dots. Good. Now the other side. Laying it down with little dots as you move along. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to use a Q-tip for the brow just because it has more surface area. Okay, little sheet of plastic over the top to hold the heat in. Okay, and we're going to let this process for another 6.5 minutes. Okay. Any questions about this? So that's all step one, and we're processing now. We got another, we'll let it go until 1:32. How do you feel so far about this? I'm making lots of little videos for y'all. That way you can come back to them later. Yeah, it's just the little one I set up. 2022, I think I set up that YouTube. Just to help me, honestly, to study. And now I just kind of updated it to share it with other people. Now, while your guest is laying here, there's a few things that you can do. One is you can do a lip treatment while your eyes and your brows are processing. It's a 5-minute service or a 10-minute service that you can do, add a few things to their lips. You can do an arm massage or a shoulder massage. You probably wouldn't want to do a scalp massage or a facial massage at this point. You could also add LED to this if you wanted to. You could put LED on over the face or even the neck and décolleté. So there's a few things that you can do while they're processing. Sometimes your guests just want quiet. And if that's the case, then you could even step out of the room for a few minutes if you like. But maybe you could step out of the room for a facial. I wouldn't step out of the room for a chemical, though, on second thought. I would keep my eye on the chemical. Also, if you step out of the room, what if she blinks her eyes or if she opens her eyes? So I take that back. During a facial, if they're masking, if they want quiet, sure. Chemical services, no. You should probably stay with them. Keep your eye on it the whole time. If she were to have something in her eye, get something in her eye, the first thing I would do is I would wet a piece of gauze and hand it to her. Okay? I wouldn't try to remove anything. First thing I do is get something in her hand so that she can dab her own eye. Because that's naturally what I would want to do, is dab my own eye. So give her a damp something, cotton pad or gauze, put it in her hand first, okay? Then start removing everything yourself, all right? But the first thing she's going to want to do is put her fingers or her face or her hand on her. That's naturally what we're going to do. So let her do that. Give her a piece of gauze to do that. And then move on to, you're going to remove the shields and move her over to a shampoo bowl and spray out her eyes. All right, that's what you would do in a salon. If you're in a spa that doesn't have a shampoo bowl, you go to any sink and flush their eyes. Shampoo bowls are great because they have a hose most of the time.
One of those squeeze bottles with like the nozzle that comes in.
For sure. Yes, you can definitely use a squeeze bottle to flush the eyes if you need to, for sure. We got 2 more minutes left to process. One more minute left to process. Almost time. Just a few more seconds. We will remove this plastic. Sometimes the plastic can stick to the silicone, so be gentle. Okay, so we remove dry, wet, dry. So dry Q-tip, remove the product, and you can even wipe it on your towel next to your person right here. Dry, dry. Then wet, or technically damp, just to get the excess residue off. Good. And then dry again. Just to dry what you just did. Okay. Same thing for the brow. Dry. Wet. And then dry again. And I still have plenty of adhesive on my palette that I can keep using. So grab a Q-tip or a brush, lip applicator, whatever you choose. I'm going to add a little more adhesive. Take your Y comb. Make sure everything is isolated and good to go. If you have any hairs that popped up, this is a good time to let them lay back down. Good. All right, now we're ready for step 2. Lay step 2 down on your palette. Setting lotion. Another micro sponge. And lay it down just the way you did before. Little dots, just to move the product around. Now we move on to the brow. See how I'm kind of slightly twisting it as I go? Make sure those hairs are laying backwards. Good. Plastic. And plastic. I preferred an actual sheet of saran wrap here because I can use one sheet to cover the whole thing instead of having to use 2. And it holds the heat in because your heat's escaping here, it's escaping here. So I'm not necessarily the biggest advocate of this.
Step 2 that's on there.
Yeah, this is step 2 that's on there. This is the setting lotion. So first step, we broke down those disulfide bonds. These are the bonds that give the hair its curl. We broke down those bonds, we put it over the shields, and these shields are telling the hairs what the new shape is going to be. Then step 2 is what's on right now. We're locking that new shape into place now. And then after this step, we'll move on to tinting. When we're doing lashes, we want to use a blue-black. All right. For brows, it'll be whatever you and your client decide together. But for lashes, primarily, your guests want mascara black. They want it to look like mascara. So we use a blue-black. All right. When we're talking about hair colors and hair tinting, all blacks are a derivative of blue. It's so blue, it's black. All right. That's the idea. So have you seen anime or cartoons where the character's hair is black, but they have a blue streak in their hair? It's so blue, it's black. All right, that's the idea here. And so when you have a mascara color, you want the blackest black there is, which is blue-black.
So if I had a client who used like a black brown mascara, like I usually use black brown mascara, do they have dyes here that would
Yes,
so much
absolutely.
with that?
Absolutely, yes. Like this one. This one is a Aliplex Profusion Graphite. All right. So this is more of what, it's not black black. It's not brown black. It's like a neutral dark gray. You know what I mean? Okay. But then you have all these colors too. You have a honey brown. You have a dark brown. You have a light brown. You have different colors, and you can mix these colors too to get the precise color and tone you're looking for. Absolutely. But if your guest wants mascara black, blue black is where you want to go. 2 more minutes left to process. And of course, you want to ask your client what color their lashes they want. They might tell you purple. It happens.
Start doing, do we have different colors for the extensions, or do we just have the black?
I think you just have the black in your kit, but you can purchase whatever colors and shapes. There's all sorts of different confetti and feathers and all sorts of stuff in them that you can get those on your own, bring them in if you want to, and put them on each other or clients. That's fine. But I think just in your kit is just regular lashes. I've seen some with like, what is it? Playing cards and dice, like tiny playing cards and dice, like Las Vegas lashes. Yeah. All sorts of crazy stuff. All right, it's time to remove. So we will gently remove the plastic. Remember, the plastic can sometimes stick to the silicone, so be gentle. And then we remove the same way before. We remove the lashes first. We let the brows go a little bit longer because they can handle a little bit longer than the lashes. And also, you take another minute or so to process. So we remove the lash first. Now, this piece of tape is getting in the way here, so I'm just going to move this. I don't want that to be a problem in a minute. Dry, and then wet. And then dry again. Same with the brow. Remove dry. And then wet. Yes, sir. What's up? Sure. What can I do for you?
I just had a question about, like, when you're creating your own products and you want to find out the pH balance of whatever you're making. Do you have a recommendation of what I can use to test the pH?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's called litmus paper. LITMUS, litmus paper. That can help you. You dip it in the product, and it'll give you a measure of the pH balance. Also, there's pH meters, like a digital meter that you can purchase as well, which is more a pH meter. You can buy those on Amazon, and it's just a little digital device that you can dip it into your solution, and it'll tell you the pH. So one of those two options should help. Yep. So you take the litmus paper, you put it in the solution, and then whatever color it turns, it'll tell you the level of pH it is.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I needed to know.
All right. Wonderful. It's good to see you.
So we were asking information for who is the source.
Oh, well, thank you. That's nice of them to say. So we're going to remove the shield. So we're going to get the hairs off the shield. And then remove the shield. And she is lifted. Look at that. Bam. Okay. Then we'll get the hairs off of this shield. Wonderful. And we'll remove this tape. See why we gently do this instead of tearing it off? Because this is a spa, not a hospital. We don't tear it off. Good. A few Q-tips just to make sure it's for sure dry. And you can remove any excess that you find here, anything else. Just make sure they're good and dry. Okay. Now at this point, the lift for the lashes and the lift for the brow, we are done. All right. Her brows, the shape in her brow is the shape that we want, which is straight up in the middle and then comes down to an angle towards the end here. And you see the curl in the lash. That is definitely a beautifully defined curl there. All right. So now we're going to move on to move on to the tint. We're only going to tint the lashes today. We're not going to tint the brows. So we'll take the tape again. Okay. So go ahead. I'm going to hand you, before you open your eyes, I'm going to hand you this cotton pad. Go ahead and dab your eyes. Okay. I want her to open her eyes, but before that, I've got to hand her this because that's naturally what we want to do. Is we're going to want to touch it. So there you go. Okay. Also, if there is any irritation or if there is any problem stinging at this point, we can address it now. And also, she has something in her hand if there's irritation or something like that. All right? But it doesn't seem like there's any irritation or stinging. You're feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. If there is irritation or stinging, it's most common during the tint, actually. So now we're going to lay down this tape. This time it's going to go underneath the bottom lash. So I'll have you open your eyes all the way and look up at your eyebrows. This goes underneath the bottom lash. You don't need two pieces. You can if you want to. Good. And then this goes underneath the bottom lash. Good. Go ahead and close your eyes. That's not poking or rubbing, uncomfortable or anything like that?
No, it's good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, now we're going to mix our color. All you need is about the size of a popcorn kernel. That's it. That's all you need. And then you'll do one-to-one with the developer. So this is such a small amount that it'll be difficult to measure, so you kind of just have to eyeball it. Now again, you can use a lip applicator, you can use a brush, you can use whatever. I think I'm going to try this lip applicator this time. I haven't tried this before, so we'll do that. All right, let me get it on the hairs and smush it right into the tape. And once you get the majority on there, then you can really just glop it on. And when I say glop it on, that's literally what I mean. You just pile it on there. Whatever you have left, just pile it on there. Push it into that tape. Good. Now a Q-tip just to clean up a little bit around the edges. These little hairs are curled and they're not having it, which is good. They're bouncing right back up. They're in the wrong place to get colored. So we're going to give this a full 10 minutes to process. So I'm going to give it 8 minutes now. We're going to give it, let this process all the way through. But this way, you're coloring the top and the bottom lashes all at the same time. And you see how they're popping off of the tape? That's how you know you have a good curl. Any questions there?
But it's the same process for brows.
It is, yes. So I would mix the color 1-to-1. I would apply the color and then I'd process it and then remove it just like this. You can remove it dry, wet, dry if you'd like to. It's not required to do dry, wet, dry with color. I do anyway, just because. But yeah, with the color, you don't have to remove it dry, wet, dry. You don't have to cover it with plastic. Just like this is fine. Still got about 7 minutes left. Now for the brow lamination, there are more steps here that we're not doing today. All I did was I just shaped the brow, okay? Some other things that I could have done is I could have, after all this is done, I can give her a wax to shape the brow after this. I can use my mapping to help. If I did the mapping, I could have used that to help me with the brow shape. I could use that to help me with the wax and the tweeze. You can also use your brow map to stain the skin. Another difference between the lash tint, or the lash tint and the brow tint, is it's common now that we want to tint the skin underneath the brow. All right, that's part of the standard style now, and that's just a different brand of color. That's all that is. Different brands of color that will stain the skin for you. So there are more steps involved in a brow lamination, but for today, I showed you the step 1, step 2. You want to give it the shape that you want, put in step 1, remove step 1, make sure your shape is precise where you want it, lay down step 2, remove it, and you're good. Then you can do your other stuff if you want to. Coloring, tinting, waxing, tweezing, highlighting, all that stuff. You have any other questions about any of these 2 processes that we did today? Any questions about the presentation from this morning?
And the dye that we have not stainless steel.
Right. So the Belmacil brand does not stain the skin. However, the Refectosil Intense Browns, the gel ones, they do. And if you look at your protocol, that's for these, the Intense Browns. But yes, the Refectosil Intense Browns, I understand that you can tint the skin with them. says especially tip to achieve softer effect, use Reflectocell Intense Brown Tint Remover, especially recommended at the start of the brow to create a soft ombre effect. The ombre is the skin tinting, so that tells me that yes, this brand will tint the skin. If all else fails, read the manufacturer's instructions. Actually, no. Before you do anything, read the manufacturer's instructions. So yes, that should tint the skin if you want to take a look. Two minutes left to process. Yeah, take a look over here and see how these hairs, like half of these hairs have already popped off they've popped off the tape. That's a good sign. It means we have a good lift.
I don't mind it. We'll just do the regular one for now and just do the brows. But I don't want to mess around.
I may make a copy of that. I'll probably make some copies of that so we can all have a copy. Okay, time to remove. So take gauze or a cotton pad, whatever you choose, dry, and I'm just gonna brush it right into the tape. Brush it right in there, right into the tape. Okay. Then we'll do damp. Okay. And she already has a cotton pad in her hand, so we're going to ask her to dab it when we remove the tape. So we remove the tape, and we'll try not to rip it off like an angry nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Very gently, and follow it with that wet pad. Okay. And then ask your guests to dry their eyes. At this point, you're going to ask them do you have any stinging or irritation?
It's kind of stinging
It's
a little bit on this side.
Stinging a little bit on this side.
Yeah.
So let me switch your cotton pad. Here's a damp.
Okay.
Here's a damp one for you. You can really get in there. The reason why I hand the cotton or the gauze to them is because they know how much pressure they can handle. If I go in there and start rubbing her on her eyeball, like I don't know how much pressure she can take. So let her do it. Feeling okay?
Yeah. Wonderful. You have a dry one?
Mm-hmm. Good.
All right. Yeah,
Wonderful.
good.
Great. And then I'm going to remove, just got a little bit underneath. I'm just going to remove this here. Just remove some of this around the edges. Go ahead and close your eyes. Just cleaning up around the edges. Good. All right, she is lifted and tinted.
Thank you.
There you go. Wonderful. You're all done. Wonderful.